Hi everybody! So today I'm going to show you to create this little sleepy baby. This is what it's going to look like. In today's video I'm going to be making one exactly like this. So I'm going to be using some purple, some pink, skin color, and 2 black bands for the eyes. Pick the colors that you'd like to use. This was another color option. You're also going to need some stuffing. You're going to need a pencil to help stuff, your hook, and a stitch marker. So I'm going to get started and I do hope you enjoy. The first thing that we're going to do is make the legs, and these are the legs that go in the back. So I'm going to show you to do one, and then you're going to pause the video and make yourself another. I'm going to start off with a magic ring of 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 that you're going to pull through. I'm going to use the bottom part of my loom. So take a single band and wrap it around 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Now pull 8 bands through, one at a time, by reaching in, pulling your first band through, end on your hook, and the top loop over. Bring it to the side, and continue going back in, second band through, end on your hook, and now you're just bringing the top 2 loops over. Make sure you bring it to the side, back in, and now from now on, you're bringing the top 2 loops over, and just continue. I'm going to remove it off the loom and move my bands around, and you should have 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 is on your hook. You want to attach a stitch marker to this band that's around your hook. For rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, you're going to do 8 single crochets. So 1 band in each chain, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. Each pile I have 8 bands, so at the end of each round you should have 8 stitches. Your last band, you're going to do a slip knot to tie it closed, and then we're going to add some stuffing using a pencil. So I'm going to start you off with round 2, and then you're going to pause the video, and you can come back to me and I'll do the last band with you to tie it off. So you want to go on your first chain and just single crochet. The next chain, all the way until you get to your stitch marker. So you should still have 8 stitches. You want to remove that stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook. You want to pause the video, and you can come back to me for the last band, and we'll do a slip knot together. So I'm at the last band, and I'm just going to tie it off by going in the last chain and bringing my band through all of the loops that are on my hook, grabbing the end and sliding. I'm going to remove the stitch marker. You want to add a little bit of stuffing. You want to make sure that both legs are the same, so you don't want to overfill one and not the other, or overfill at all. So I'm just going to take a little bit of stuffing, and that might be a little bit too much, and I'm going to use a pencil just to push it to the bottom. So I'm pushing kind of like at the side of the stuffing, not the whole thing shoving in, because we just kind of want the form of it. We don't want to overstuff. And then just push the top part down. Now I'm going to attach the legs, and you'd want to be using the body color. I'm going to show you in different color bands, so it will be a little bit easier for you to see because this piece is so tiny. So make sure that you're using the body color, and then I'll change mine after. So this is the pattern. We're going to attach our legs. You have 8 stitches on each leg, and I have 16 bands here. So at the end of this round, you're going to have 16 stitches. I'm going to start here, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around. So this is kind of what it's going to look like when you're attaching the legs. So I'm going to start with this first band, and that's going to go through the center of the legs. Now put the legs together. We want slip knots against slip knot. So both the slip knots together. Now for the 2 pink bands that you see here, we're going to grab on either side of your slip knots through both of these chains of the legs. So I'm going to go through the first stitch on one leg that's beside the slip knot, open up the other slip knot so you can see, and go through the second one of the second leg here. Now you're going to bring your band through the first band, through both of those chains, on your hook and slide. Now we want to go on the other side of the slip knots. So that's 1 and 2. And bring your second band through. Now you can just kind of release those slip knots if you wish. Now we're going to go around this way. So I'm going to go right at the top of the leg. So if you open it up, it's the next stitch over. You can see my pink band. Go to the next stitch over and single crochet. And continue. So that was the 4th stitch. I'm just going to count. This is the 5th stitch. Don't grab the stuffing. Now the 6th stitch, you're kind of in the front of the body. This is the front. I've lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Your 7th. The 8th. Now the 9th is the tricky one. The 9th band, you're going right in the stitch where your pink went through. So that's the 9th. And now your 10th band, you're going to grab your first little loop that you'll have at the center of the legs, and that came from your first stitch. Right in between the legs, you're going to see that band that's going sideways. And now the 11th stitch, don't grab where the pink is, or where you see my pink, your first band. You want to grab straight across to your next stitch over. So you can see your little loop that's going through that stitch. Don't go through that. You want to go through the next one over. Now the rest of the chains are visible. This was stitch 13. This was 14, 15, and 16. Now attach your stitch marker to the band that's around your hook. And if you used your 16 bands, you'll have 16 stitches. Now, for your 16 stitches, we're going to count. It's going to be this tiny one that's in the corner here. If you give it a tug, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 is on your hook. For round 2, we're going to increase to 20 stitches. So I'm going to do 2 single crochets followed by an increase, 2 single crochets followed by an increase, and I'm going to repeat that 4 times. The last 4 chains is 1 single crochet till you get to your stitch marker. So again, don't go where it's getting pulled. Go in that tiny little chain and single crochet. Now go over, so basically it's right beside over, not the one in the middle, is your second chain. And then the third stitch is an increase. Repeat that 3 more times. Your chains are very visible now. In. So now I have 4 chains left, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 band until you get to the stitch marker. So you should have 20 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. Now for rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, you're going to do 20 single crochets. So 1 band in each chain, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. Always please make sure you don't go in the stitch that's getting pulled. You always go to the next stitch over. So each pile I have 20 bands. So at the end of each of these rounds, you should have 20 stitches. One of the rounds you might want to just count just to make sure that you have enough stitches. I'm going to do part of round 3 with you, and then you're just going to pause the video and continue and come back to me when you're done. So I'm just going to go on my first chain, not where it's getting pulled, and bring 1 band through. After each of the rounds, if you don't have them organized like I do, you may want to leave stitch markers on just to make sure that you did enough rounds. I think you can pause the video, continue, and come back to me when you're done. Now for round 11, this is what you should have so far. But for round 11, it's kind of tricky, just because of how I have to lay out the bands. For round 11, we're going to decrease to 14 stitches. I'm going to do a decrease followed by 2 single crochets. Decrease followed by 2 single crochets, and I'm going to repeat that 4 times. Then I'm going to end with 2 decreases. The decrease that I'm going to use is Nancy's decrease, and it'll be the inside and the outside loop. The last band, we're going to do a slip knot to tie it closed, and then we're going to add some stuffing to fill the body. So I'm going to take this one slowly. We're going to go in our first 2 chains to decrease. Don't go where it's getting pulled. Inside loop, outside loop of the next chain. Two single crochets. Again, decrease, then 2 single crochets. Inside loop, outside loop. 2 single crochets. Repeat again, decrease, followed by 2 single crochets. And one more time. Now you should have 4 stitches left, or 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Decrease, and one more decrease, but this band is going through all of the stitches that are on your hook to tie it off. So inside, outside, pull your band through. Now don't hide this slip knot at any point in time until you're done. This slip knot is going to help you to show you the back, and this is the front. Remove your stitch marker and grab some stuffing to fill the body. Now I suggest opening up the stuffing so it's not into kind of like a ball. This will help for the body to actually lay flat. Now once you see the stuffing coming through the bands, then you'll know for sure that you have too much stuffing. Now if you don't have any stuffing in between the legs area right here, the joining, just go with your hook in between the stitches and you're just going to pull the stuffing down with your hook. Just a little bit and move it all around. So I'm moving the stuffing to the side and then some down. Now I'm just going to add a little bit more here. I'm pushing it down with my fingers because I want to fill out this area. Once we get on the arms, we're going to be doing the same thing by pulling it to the front. Now for round 1 of the arms, I'm going to do the baby's left arm. And I'm sorry, I keep losing my voice. What we're going to do is lay it flat and push it down. Now put that stuffing inside and your slip knot should be away from you. We are going to find the center stitch. So you want to just kind of move it around. And I can see that my center stitch is here. What I'm going to do is from the back, I'm going to go from the center stitch to the center stitch in the front with the hook facing me now. Now this will be stitch 1. So I'm going to count the next stitch over. Sorry, this will be 1 stitch. I'm going to count the next stitch over and we should have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then this would be 7. If you do this on the other side, for the other leg, you'll see this is I'll just count this one. We need 7 stitches in total. 1, because we're going to go back in that same stitch for the other leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now when you put this down flat, you don't want this to kind of turn. So then you know that you have your body twisted. So it's kind of like in the center, you can see like right away that that's the center. So if you can't do it, just fold it in half. Find the 2 stitches that are going to the side. And then you should have your center stitches. So from your hook to the tip facing you, pull 1 band through. I have 7 bands here, and we're going to do 7 single crochets. We need that stitch marker, and I totally lost it. Oh, there it is. We need a stitch marker on the last band when you're done. So pull a band through both of those chains on your hook and slide. Now I'm going to be crocheting around. So don't go on the same bend that you just, or the same chain you just went in, go over. So now I just did 7 single crochets. Attach your stitch marker to the band that's around your hook. For rounds 2, 3, and 4, we're going to do 7 single crochets, 1 band in each chain all the way around. I'm going to do round 2 with you, and then you're going to pause the video, do round 3 and 4, and come back to me. Now, find your stitches. You'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 is on your hook. Just go in 1 band, 1 chain, each chain with a single band. You should have 7 stitches when you're done, so I have 7 bands in each pile. Remove your stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook, pause the video, and go around for 2 more rounds. Now I'm going to change to the skin color, and I'm going to do 7 single crochets, 1 band in each chain, starting off with the slip stitch because we're changing color. Then round 6, we're going to close it off by doing a single crochet and then 2 decreases and the last band slip knot to tie it closed. The decrease that I'm going to do is just grabbing the 2 chains and stitching them together because I want a really tight effect. So round 5, go in your first chain, start with a slip stitch through all the loops, grab the end and just slide, don't pull. And then continue going around. Remove your stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook, and single crochet and then 2 decreases. So go in the first chain, single crochet. Now grab 2 stitches and stitch together. So go through the chain, inside, and then through the next chain. So just one more time. Next stitch, back in and through the second chain and pull your band through. Now I like to bring my chains to the center, grabbing the end and side. The same thing with the next 2 stitches, except we're bringing our band through all of the chains. So go in or through all of the loops. So this is, you're going to close it off, go through, and then the one on your hook. Grab your end and slide. And remove your stitch marker. And that should just close up nicely. Now we're going to do the other arm. Now for the right arm, the baby's right arm, make sure your slip knot's at the back. I have 7 bands here, so we're going to do 7 single crochets. Again, I'm going to start in the same chain that we used before, and with our hook we went this way. I'm just going to go from the front to the back, right where we started before. So you'll see this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Just pull your bands through. And now just get comfortable. Seven stitches and attach your stitch marker. Now for 2, 3, 4, and 5, you're going to do 7 single crochets just as we did before. When you change color, do a slip stitch. So I'm going to show you to do round 2 and then come back to me when you're done. Don't go where it's getting pulled. Find your 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Remove your stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook, pause the video, and come back to me when you're done. Now we're at round 6, and we're going to close this off by doing a single crochet followed by 2 decreases. Last band slip knot to tie it closed. So single crochet, decrease, grabbing the 2 stitches, open it up if you have to. Right, bring those chains to the center of that band, just to relieve some tension. Again, last band through all of the loops. Grab the end and slide. And you can remove your stitch marker. Now with your hook, you're just going to move the stuffing down into the arms area. So where my slip knot is, that's the back, and that'll be the bottom. Or should I say the belly. Now what you're going to do is go through the arm, pull some stuffing in just to fill it up. And the other one, careful. If you pull too much up, you can go the opposite way and pull it down. And now I just need some stuffing in the corner here, so with my hook, I'm just going to move it around. And you can hide these two slip knots by just going back in the arm the opposite way, going out beside the slip knots, and then hiding it. And you can do that to the other side. Now this piece is optional at the back here. And this is actually called a drop seat. And I just learned this one today. You could call it a butt flap, the back flap, but it's actually called a drop seat. So that part's optional if you want to add that on. What I'm going to do is show you where to start, and you're going to pull 5 bands through, single crochet, right through the back of the body. So again, my slip knot is right here. Now if you look at the body closely, where the legs join, right in the center, there's this stitch here that has 2 bands in that same stitch. You want to go to the row right above, and you want to try to find 5 even stitches right above. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pull 5 bands through, 1 in each of those chains on the body. Now you're going to turn it around. For rounds 2 and 3, you're just going to go in reverse. I have 4 bands in each. Round 4, you're going to do slip stitches and attach to the top part of the body, chains on the body to keep it closed. So round 2, reverse, starting in the chain where it's getting pulled. For round 3, turn it around, and again, you want to do 4 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go where it's getting pulled. Try to bring it through that first chain. I'm just going to open it up here. Oop, don't stretch your chains. I'm just opening it up. And I'm going to do 4 slip stitches to attach this to the body. So I just kind of want to have it opened up just a little bit. And you're going to grab the chains right underneath the body, underneath the little flap here. So go through the body. You can see my hands are up here now. And I'm just going to bring the bands through all of the loops that are on my hook to do slip stitches. Try to grab the chains underneath, slip stitch. The last band you're going to do a slip knot to tie it closed. So it's still a slip stitch, you're just going to pull it tighter. And then you're just going to hide that band, go through, and bring it through the body. Round 1 of the head, we're going to start off with 9 single crochets in the magic ring, and I'm using the skin color. So I'm going to use my bottom part of my loom again, taking my first band, which is my cap band, and wrap it around 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Now just pull 9 bands through, one at a time. Top loop over, and it's important to bring it to the side so your bands won't end up overlapping. Top 2 loops over now. I remove it off the loom, move my bands around, try to close up that circle by squishing them through, and then eventually you'll just close. Attach your stitch marker to the band that's around your hook. I have rounds 2, 3, and 4 here. For rounds 2, we're going to increase on each chain around, so you're doing 2 single crochets in each chain. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, all the way around. So you'll have 18 stitches when you're done. For rounds 3 and 4, you're just adding 1 band to each chain, 18 single crochets. So I have 18 bands in each pile. I'm going to start you off on, I'm going to do round 2 with you. I'm going to go in each chain, add 2 bands. Back in. That same chain to add the second band. Moving on to the next stitch, 2 bands. And back in. Continue until you get to the stitch marker. I'm at the last chain. So you should have 18 stitches, counting the band that's on your hook. Remove your stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook, and this is what it should look like so far. Now for round 3, I'm going to start you off. Don't go where it's getting pull. 1 band in each chain all the way around. When you get to the end, don't forget to remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. So you can continue all the way around, complete rounds 3 and 4, and then come back to me when you're done. So I have rounds 5, 6, and 7 here. We're going to increase on round 5 to 20 stitches. And then round 6 and 7, you're going to do 20 single crochets. So each pile I have 20 bands. For round 5, we're going to do 3 single crochets followed by an increase. Then we're going to do 10 single crochets followed by an increase. And then 3 single crochets. So we'll have 20 stitches when we're done. So going in the first 3 chains, 1, 2, and 3, 1 band in each. So I'm just going to follow the layout. Increase, Now I'm going to do 10 single crochets. I have 5 and 5. Now an increase again. And you should be left with 3 chains, 1, 2, and 3. Single crochet in each. Remove your stitch marker. If you are using C-clips, this is the time where you want to be very careful not to pull the band when removing the stitch marker. Our face is going to, front of the face is going to be along this area, so you don't want to have it opened. If you do have it opened, all you're going to do is just take the little knots that you see here. So here's your band. Here's a little knot, 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 knot. You can see those little knots. You're just, at the end, you can just loosen it up by taking your hook through, just to kind of close up the gaps if you were pulling with a stitch marker, with a C-clip or stitch marker even. So you want to be very careful that you don't pull. Now for round 6, you're just adding 1 band in each chain all the way around. I'm just going to do a couple with you, and then you can pause the video and complete round 6 and 7. 20 single crochets. So just continue and come back to me. For round 8, we're going to decrease to 18 stitches. So I'm going to do 3 single crochets, and I'm going to be stitching, well, basically 4 and 5 together. I'll be using Nancy's decrease. Then we're going to do 5 single crochets and stitch 11 and 12 together, decrease. Then you're going to end with 8 single crochets, and you'll have 18 stitches when you're done. So let's do the first row here. 3 single crochets followed by a decrease. Don't go where it's getting pulled. So the Nancy decrease is inside loop first on your next chain here. We're going to stitch these 2 stitches together. So inside loop of the first chain, outside loop of the second chain. And you'll just pull your band through. I'll do it one more time. Inside loop and outside loop. Pull your band through. Now for the next row, 5 single crochets followed by a decrease. Don't go where it's getting pulled. Be very careful you're not grabbing that same stitch. Decrease again, inside loop and outside loop of the next chain. Pull your band through. Now you should have 8 stitches left. Don't go where you just went, and you have 8 bands left. Single crochet until you get to your stitch marker. Should have 18 stitches, and remove your stitch marker. For round 9, we're going to decrease to 15 stitches, and this is our last round, and then we're going to add some stuffing to fill it. So for round 9, we're going to decrease to 15 stitches by going 3 single crochets followed by a decrease. Again, I'll be using Nancy's decrease, so stitching the 2 stitches together. We're going to do that again, 3 single crochets followed by a decrease, and 3 single crochets followed by a decrease. So you're repeating that part 3 times. The last 3 stitches are just single crochet, and your last band you're doing a slip knot to tie it closed. So let's do the first row here, 3 single crochets. Don't go where it's getting pulled. Now decrease, inside loop, and outside loop of the next chain. Repeat again, don't go where you just went. Decrease, inside loop, outside loop. And repeat one more time. You have 3 chains left, 3 bands left. Last band slip knot, don't forget. I tend to forget when doing these videos. And the stitch marker. So the last band, you're just bringing it through all of the loops, grabbing the end and slide. Remove your stitch marker, and you can just add some stuffing. You want to have the form of the head good. You don't want the stuffing to show through. And you don't want any empty spaces. So we need to fill this perfectly round. I'm pretty sure I have too much. We don't want this opening of the 15 stitches. We want it kind of closed like that. So I can see that I already have way too much stuffing. So this is the one time where I'm going to tell you to push down and then just fill the areas that are empty right there. But my circle part here is still closing towards the center. And if I do this, I'm going to add a little bit more. So just going to push it down the stuffing. And move it all around. So now I'm going to close the head like this and just remove what the remaining is. Because I just find it very hard to actually sew on the head if I didn't do that. And that's good. Now I'm going to show you how to do the hat. And we're going to do 9 single crochets in the magic ring, and I'm going to use the bottom part of my loom. Now if you can do this without the loom, you'd want to wrap your cap band 3 times. If you are using the loom, the hole gets a little bit bigger, so you might want to do this part 4 times as the cap band. So wrap it around your loom 4 times, and your hook do 3 times. So I'm just going to go around 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just because that hole gets a little bit bigger because you're using 9 bands. So I'm going to pull 9 bands through, one at a time. So reaching in, pulling your band through, grabbing the end and top loop over. And make sure you're bringing it to the side. Back in for your second band. And on your hook and top 2 loops over. And just continue. and remove off the loom. And you want to just move your bands around so that they're nice and even, and attach your stitch marker to the band that's around your hook. So I have rounds 2, 3, and 4 here. For rounds 2, we're going to increase to 18 stitches. So that's 2 bands in each chain. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, all the way around. In rounds 3 and 4, you're going to do 18 single crochets. So each pile, I have 18 bands. So at the end of each round, you should have 18 stitches. So I'm going to do round 2, 2 bands, increase in the first chain. Back in. The next chain, again, 2 bands. Back in. And the next chain. Same thing all the way around until you get to the stitch marker. So you should have 18 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. And round 3 and 4 is single crochet in each chain all the way around until you get to your stitch marker. So I'm going to start you off. Don't go where it's getting pulled. Your first chain is 1 band. The next, so you can pause the video, continue, and come back to me when you're done. For round 5, we're going to do 18 single crochets and we're going to go in reverse. So normally we would go this way, but this time we're going to go this way, and from the hook, we're going to face it towards the center. Now I have 18 bands here, 6, 12, and 18. So you'll have 18 stitches when you're done. Don't go in the chain where it's getting pulled. You want to go in the next chain over. So just go through. So I'm going to go the opposite direction. All the way around. You might get stuck on the last stitch, so you'll want to watch where I'm going. So I have the 2 bands here. If you open it up, you'll see 2 chains left, 1 and 2 where your stitch marker is. I'm going to go in this second last chain for my second last band. And now the last chain, you're going to see where your stitch marker is, and you're going to see this loop here. You're going to go before the loop. Because if you kind of go on the other side of that loop, you'll kind of have a gap at the end. So I'm just in that same chain where the stitch marker is, but I'm before the loop. So you'll have 18 stitches now. Remove your stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook, and I can start you off on your next chain. So we are going to continue in reverse for the next round. So where it's getting pulled, don't go in there, go to your next chain over. And just so you know, that's where we're going to go. For round 6, we're going to increase to 20 stitches going in reverse. You're going to do 3 single crochets followed by an increase. Then 10 single crochets followed by an increase, and then you'll end with 3 single crochets. So if you didn't see where I went, don't go where it's getting pulled. Again, we're going in reverse. So you're going to the next stitch over. And you can follow the layout. 3 single crochets followed by an increase. Oops. So this is my increase. I'm just going to go back in that same chain. And now 10 single crochets followed by an increase. Increase, back in, and I'll have 3 chains left, 1, 2, and 3, 3 bands. So you should have 20 stitches now. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 7, we're going to do 20 single crochets, and I'm going to start stitching the right way again. So I have 20 bands here, 5, 10, 15, and 20. I'm going this way again. Don't go in the chain where your band is coming out of. Go in your next chain over. And just 1 band in each chain. You might get stuck again on the last chain, so you'll want to watch where I'm going. And I drop my stitch. Next chain. So I just want to point out I have 2 bands left. You'll see if you open it up, you'll have a chain. That's for your next band. And again, I'm going to go on the same chain that the stitch marker is, but I'm going to go before this little loop that you see. So you should have 20 stitches. Remove your stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 8, I have 20 bands here, 5, 10, 15, and 20. I'm going to do 20 single crochets, grabbing the back loop only, the outside loop, all the way around. Your last band, you want to do a slip knot to tie it closed. So don't start where it's getting pulled. Back loop only. And you can see I'm going in the right direction. All the way until you get to the stitch marker. Last chain, last band, do a slip knot, and you can remove your stitch marker. Now I just want you to open up the hat by just doing this. Now we're going to attach the head, and that part's going to be the tricky part. You're going to do 15 slip stitches around, so I have 15 bands here. You may want to do a complete round by adding an extra band and just catching where you started. So I have 10 and 5. I'm going to show you where to start first. You're going to have your slip knot, and that's going to kind of be right at the center. So here's the center, and you kind of want to just be one off. So if you look at it, you want it like this. Now there's 15 stitches on the head, and that's a big opening for such a little area. So you want to make sure that you're not pulling the head so it's like reaching over here. You just kind of want it in this spot. Now I'm going to do the first one, and I'm going to go through the head. I'm going to go right before the slip knot, and then catch a stitch. So the center down here, so you'll see where the legs meet, I'm just right above. And I'm going to go to the stitch right beside. And I'm going to bring my band through all the loops. Grab the end. My little slip knot's in the way. Grab the end and slide. Now what I want to do is just, I want to kind of pull this, and then I'm going to loosen it after, just to secure it and let go. Now I'm going to grab the 9th band and count 9 chains to the back and just secure that band. When we get back to this band, we're going to have to undo that band to do a slip knot, or a slip stitch, sorry. So what I'm going to do is count 9 stitches over. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and catch on. Now put the head flat, and you want to be directly kind of like, there's the middle. You want to be right in the middle of the back here. and you don't want to make sure you're pulling. So kind of center and then hook on. Now if you release, you're going to see that where the direction from where my back flap here is, and I'm just going to bring the bands through, oh sorry, the 9th band, and give it a tug. Don't pull too hard, but you want to secure it. Now slip stitch around. So go back, you started here, grab on, go to your next stitch over on the head, and now you're at the center front stitch. So grab on where your legs meet. I'm just grabbing the little chain here, and slip stitch by going through all the loops. Try not to pull because you want to make sure that this band doesn't come undone. So that was 1 and 2 stitches. Your 3rd stitch, you're still in the front area, right beside. Try to grab the chain and slip stitch. Sorry, slip stitch, slip stitch, slip stitch, through all the loops, and slide. Now to the next chain, we're going to start going on the side. You want to make sure when you're doing this head, you want to just kind of pull it over because we need to be kind of on the side of the body. So if I'm here, I want to go to the next stitch over to the side a bit and pull your band through all the loops. And just look at the head again, just to make sure that it's even. So I'm looking at the body area. Next stitch. I'm not pulling the head over, but I want to be kind of like in a straight line now. And slip stitch. The head, you might want to just check to make sure so that the head is not to one side. Slip stitch. And I'm going to kind of grab the stitch underneath now, the head. So I'm on a straight line with this 9th band that we put through. Eighth stitch. And now the 9th stitch, you want to undo. If it falls apart, just try again. I'm going to grab one end, grab the other end, which I've lost now. So I'm going to have to redo that. And bring it through all the loops. Now just check the head. It should look like that. And we're going to continue going around. So I'm kind of on the same straight line as I was in the back with the 10th stitch. If you need to, push the stuffing back in the head. Mine's coming out. And put the head flat, and you're going to grab the stitches that are underneath the head. Now you can just make sure that you're even on both sides of the body. Underneath. Underneath. And I have one more chain. And I'm grabbing a stitch right underneath the head and slip stitch. And I'm going to do a complete round by just going where I started and grabbing the purple and tie it off. Now you're just going to hide those slip knots, go through the body, and just bring it through. The head one, I'm just going to go through the head, the skin color. Now if you're making the girl, I'm going to do a magic ring of 4, and I'm using the body color, so the purple. So what I'm going to do is, I'm missing a band here, I'm going to do a magic ring of 4 using the bottom part of my loom. So take your one band and wrap it around 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. And now I'm going to pull 4 bands through, one at a time. You're going to remove off the loom, move the bands around, and you want to attach a stitch marker. So you have 4 loops. For round 2 of the flower, I'm going to add 3 bands to each chain around. So 3, 3, 3, and 3, and you'll have 12 stitches. I'm using a pink color, so pick whatever color you'd like to use. And I'm going to do a complete circle or a complete round using an extra band and then tie it off. So going in the first chain with 3 bands, one at a time. I'm changing color. Sorry, I always do a slip stitch when I change color. So that's through all the loops. Go back in again. And one more time. So you've just done 3 single crochets in that one chain. The next chain over, repeat 3 single crochets in that one chain. Repeat, next chain over. And the last one. So complete round, I'm just going to go in the next chain over and do a slip knot. And you can remove your stitch marker. You want to grab one band of the body color, and we're going to attach this to the hat. First thing we want to do is actually hide the slip knot. So I'm just going to go through the chain and just bring it through. And then you're going to see these little knots that you have on the flower. I'm just going to go through a couple of them to bring that band through just to hide it. And that should be okay. Now, where I've ended that little slip knot, you're going to grab 2 of the purple chains from either side, straight across, so this is 1, and then hook onto 1 straight across, and bring a single band through. Nice and even. Now the slip knot is here for the hat. I'm just going to kind of go over here, just a little bit over, not to the center front. It really doesn't matter, but I'm going to grab onto one of the little chains right where it kind of bends. But first I'm going to put my hook through one of the ends and then hook onto one of these chains and then grab the other end and bring it through and just tighten it. I'm going to bring that little slip knot through the actual hat. And then take your baby. This is the one I just made. And you're going to put the hat on, and then we'll attach the eyes. So the eyes are going to go to the side here. So make sure the hat's down at the back. And the flowers to the side there. Now for the eyes, you want to find the placement that you would like to go. So these ones are kind of to the side, not really the center. So you want to position the hat and figure out where you want to put the eyes. I'm going to go through two of the chains here. So this was one and then right through. And I'm using a black band and I'm going to tie it off with a skin color. So I'm just going to bring the black band through first and then I'll tie them off after I bring the second one through. Just to make sure that I like the placement. I've also grabbed some stuffing, so be very careful. And I'm just going to go straight across. Just going to make sure that those placements are okay. And I think that's okay. So I'm just going to tie it off by grabbing both of the ends and doing a slip knot with a skin color band. And before I hide them, I just want to make sure that the eye placement, I like that. So what I'm going to do for this one, I'm going to go from the top, try not to grab the stuffing, and pull the band through. And that's okay. I'm just going to squish the head down a little bit, flatten it up, and fix it up. But she's done. I hope you enjoyed Looming with Cheryl. Please subscribe down below. I have a lot more designs to load, and I'll see you next time with another. Bye for now.